Thanks, Todd. We now move to Bradley Wursten, giant wonder man. Unfortunately, he can't be here in person, but he made a personalized presentation just for us. So I am so happy to be able to share Brad Wursten with this global audience. First, I'll do a very short introduction. Bradley was born in Hamilton, Canada in 1972. And in the 80s, he started growing giant vegetables for the local agricultural fair. In 1991, he immigrated to the Netherlands, where he later started growing giant pumpkins and vegetables again, growing a world record squash in 2007, a world record marrow in 2009, and the world's heaviest field pumpkin in 2019, just to mention a few. But he also works with smaller things, I have to say. He collects and preserves various types of plants from the Americas, including heucheras, heritage potatoes, some potatoes that aren't even, can be dated, they are so old, native corn, and wild strawberries. And most recently, he has designed and helped set up a number of therapeutical and communal gardens to help stimulate mental and physical well-being and provide a local food source. He's always willing to share his unique gardening expertise. Brad has collaborated with many artists and designers, such as myself, and also who I often work with, artist Melle Smets. And together we designed a giant cornfield on the university campus in Utrecht to promote self-organization, feeding from local food resources, and production of the commons. So as we are partners in crime, Brad and I. We create wonderment with giant vegetables in a variety of public spaces, organizations, and institutes, sharing expertise, collaborations, and skewing day-to-day life with moments of, what is that? Is this possible? Is it real? Where am I? And why has this been left out? So I'm going to turn us over to Brad's PowerPoint.
A good day to you all. Thank you for taking the time to listen to my presentation about gardening with a difference. My name is Bradley Wursten, and I'm originally from Hamilton, Canada, but now living in the Netherlands. I'm a full-time volunteer gardener and advisor. Although my main activity is growing and showing giant vegetables, I also collect and preserve heritage plants and vegetables, along with modern plant oddities, all originating from North and South America, and it includes heucheras, wild and cultivated strawberries, all types of corn, potatoes, and pumpkins and squash, to mention a few. I grew my first giant vegetables in the late 1980s. I became really competitive in 2006 and have since broken almost every national record, a number of European, and even a few world records. But I specialize in members of the cucumber, pumpkin, and gourd family. For some reason, I have always been attracted to the weird and wonderful, so I started collecting plants as well, currently owning one of the world's largest private collections of heucheras, but also old and rare varieties of potatoes, corn, and whatever piques my interest, in an attempt to preserve these varieties and show people that there is more out there than you can find in a supermarket. Each year I help organize the National Pumpkin Festival, which not only brings all the top growers together in a battle to see who has grown the heaviest pumpkin or giant vegetable, but also to showcase exotic, colorful, and rare vegetables while making the seeds available for others to try out. Part of the fun is trying out new growing techniques, creating new varieties, and sharing the results while getting more people interested in growing. The past few years, I have shifted my attention towards helping out others set up therapeutical, educational, communal, and commercial gardens in an effort to promote local growing and reducing our global footprint. Basically, I grow the oddities, show them off to others, get them involved, and together we reap the benefits. In 2007, I grew a world record squash, which is basically a green pumpkin. It weighed 560 kilograms, and it was the first time that a world record had ever been grown outside of North America. In 2009, I grew the world record marrow, weighing almost 94 kilograms. It was the first marrow world record outside of Great Britain. Canada has always had a competitive giant vegetable community. The Canadian pumpkin record was set by a grower from Alberta last year and weighed a whopping 1,151 kilograms, which is 2,537 pounds. A grower from Ontario, which is where I originally came from, broke the world record for longwort last year. It measured 441 centimeters. Over the past, quite a few years, I have worked together with the also stuck in Holland Canadian artist and designer Cynthia Hathaway and other famous, possibly infamous artists and designers. Cynthia uses giant vegetables as interventionalists in closed systems to challenge assumptions and question boundaries. She uses the giants to bring the professional and amateur together to think through doing and create a common goal to make the world different, which is, of course, right up my street. Together with a small team, we were able to place giants in the most unlikely places and unlikely people into giants. I once had a large pumpkin on display outside my house. When a car stopped, somebody jumped out and tapped the pumpkin to discover if it was real or not. Giants are astounding agents in themselves, which create fiction and friction. They question reality. Are these for real? And how is that even possible? In the words of Cynthia, quote, often considered the mavericks, the weirdos, these are our backyard innovators, do-it-yourself experts of growing, experimenting in mostly risky, uncontrolled environments, with no promise of anything. No matter what you do, you are operating in an unpredictable world, a place of chance, where after months of growing, from seed to beast, a giant can explode at the last moment because it's growing too fast. Because pumpkins can grow up to 60 pounds, which is 28 kilograms a night, and then just before a way off explode. And believe me, I know it's happened to me. Cynthia continues, giant vegetable growers grow unexpectedness. Their search to grow the biggest is in a continuous flow and always to push boundaries and limitations. They are ready to pick themselves up and go at it again with vigor year in, year out. For the sake of just growing, not for any huge prize money, but for sheer drive to go beyond. End of quote. One might think we're loners, but actually we're quite a community. Despite being competitive, we have giant growing associations all over the world and are very open to sharing knowledge and tips between each other, and even distributing our seeds for free or just for the cost of a postage stamp. Together, we kind of hold an alternative world seed bank scattered throughout the world, keeping a huge variety of seeds alive by personal commitment and by actually growing them. Innovation can be a new way of treating the soil. For instance, I embrace the no-dig method, where the soil is never dug over, it's never disturbed, and each year a new layer of compost is added. Innovation can be a new way of pruning a plant, or it can be as small as using baby powder instead of chemicals to treat a cracked butt on a pumpkin. Not everybody is successful, though for one, being successful is beating your own personal record. But for another, it's growing a world record. For some, it's just taking part. Our motto is either, if you don't succeed, cry again, or if you don't succeed, try again. Your choice. As interdisciplinarity is being called for in all areas of academic research, Cynthia thought it would be a great opportunity to bring great minds of hobby and science together, which she did at the Utrecht Science Park, one of the foremost research universities for healthy urban living here in the Netherlands. She brought the hobbyists and the scientists together at the Utrecht Science Park. Forcing the meeting of minds, Professor Corné Pieterse and I shared information and growing tips for a shared goal, creating resilient plant roots for climate change. And here we hold a stretchy giant pumpkin blanket made by Cynthia that prevents the pumpkin skin from getting a sunburn. One of our projects together was to grow giants at a Dutch university's science park campus, dedicated to research for sustainable cities, to kickstart community action and spaces of the commons. We used the giants to build bridges, inviting hundreds to come and create local abundance. For the first time, a field is made to grow a community using giant corn plants. The research challenge was to grow a corn plant higher than the world record of 10 meters. I was asked to design the field, provide the seeds, and give growing advice. We teamed up with the botanical gardens in Utrecht, and they planted the seeds and raised the plants till they were big enough to go outside. Plants were distributed to all on the campus, whoever we could find, security guards, students, bus drivers, administrators, you name it, we gave them a plant. And even to corporations who are moving in on campus and who usually have very closed doors. And the people came, students, professors, employees, and with the expertise of hobbyists, the competition began. Science was brought into the park. The tallest 3 corn stalks were brought to our giant vegetable weigh-off. The winner measured 3.88 meters. Sure, mine was almost 2 meters taller, but compared to average corn stalks in our country, they did very well, and growing giant corn commercially might one day be an option. The huge harvest of giant cobs was converted on the main street of the campus by beer hobbyists, and the first campus beer grown by locals was born. An alternative option was made to expensive supermarkets and bars on the campus, but according to most, the taste still needed a bit of work. The Cornfield Project brought our giant vegetable community in contact with the botanical gardens in Utrecht, and we ended up holding our pumpkin and giant vegetable way off there for 6 years. Until this day, the head gardener and I still exchange ideas and plants for our collections. In fact, the botanical gardens actually grew giants for the competition. Besides corn, giant pumpkins, beets, and marrows were also grown in the field. They were harvested and made their way through the heart of the campus to the university canteen, Sodexo, to cook, talking about local produce. Somehow, Cynthia got our team inside the commercial kitchen. We forced our giants into global food catering systems to test local food possibilities and placed them as central agents for speculating upon the design of future food cities and communal kitchens. 100 liters of soup made from the produce from the cornfield sold out in half an hour. Another project I was somewhat involved with was a theoretical XXL city harvester complex designed by Cynthia in cooperation with a few other people and companies. Uh, Basically, can we use giant vegetables in the center of a city to provide food for the people of the city without it actually leaving the place where it was grown? And the growth of the city would then be determined by the yield of the giants. If it goes beyond this, growth stops and another giant facility is built elsewhere. Once in a while, I'm asked to give talks to, might be a local allotment society, but I've also taken part in food conference discussing the future of food production. And I've talked about the choreography of Japanese gardens to inspire choreography dance students. And I've even helped out getting giant pumpkins and vegetables into a museum, or as Cynthia said, to create confusion and dilemmas of how to approach and handle them in art museum contexts. Are they art or just a boring vegetable? The past few years, I've been involved in setting up various gardens locally, including 2 therapeutic gardens, and the larger one being for physically and mentally handicapped people, people with dementia, migrants, and school children. My current project is setting up a second commercial pumpkin farm. Last year, I helped start up another one, as well as a communal garden where 25 different local people each get a strip of no-dig ground and produce 1, 2, or 3 different crops. Each strip has different vegetables and herbs or potatoes, and the harvest from all the different strips are shared amongst the 25 participants, thus promoting local produce, getting people outdoors, getting them less dependent on supermarkets, and creating a community of people that would have never otherwise met each other. The next project I hope to get involved with is helping a farmer set up an agrivoltaics farm on 6 hectares of land. That is a farm where the soil is used for 2 purposes. One is for agriculture, and the other is for producing electricity. That means that the crops are grown below solar panels. In one part of the field, we hope to grow wild flowers under the panels. In another part, we hope to have sheep grazing underneath them. And the third part will be for vegetables and pumpkins. To summarize, my mission is to break into local systems, changing them from the inside out. Producing local food, if possible, preserving heirloom varieties, providing people with the mental and physical healing of gardening, and making people aware that there are many more options out there than commerce offers. Thank you for listening.